with shonen, and this is why I'm writing my own fantasy novel, right? Is that with shonen manga slash anime, it becomes extremely repetitive and not repetitive in a good way. When it comes to like a lot of the newer stuff, even though there is shows, I mean, mangas and shows that I like. Like Kagurabachi is a good manga. It's enjoyable to read. My Hero Vigilante, good anime, good manga, nice little chill side quests before kind of prequel story for My Hero. But it's like sometimes your brain is thinking to yourself, like, I want a lot more in my anime. Like I want so much more. Like how One Piece world building, I want that in a new manga and anime, right? Boom, I want that. But I also want like characters that are gray, like the Phantom Troop from Hunter x Hunter. Boom. But I also want a very interesting protagonist that doesn't feel generic. Boom. You know what I'm saying? Something that's kind of like a mix of like Gon and like Luffy. And I want like a continuous story with a main character that gets multiple powers, not just using the same three or four powers. You know what I'm saying? Like the problem sometimes with shonen is the main character will use the same three, four powers. I mean, Goku uses Kamehameha so much to the point where it becomes repetitive. You know what I'm saying? There's only so many times you can use Kamehameha. There's only so many times you can use the Rasengan. Making it bigger doesn't really make a difference. You know what I'm saying? There's only so many times that you can, watch Gon do the John Ken. And, you know what I'm saying? It's like you want the main character to have a little more variety when it comes to their move set. You know, and that's why I'm writing my own fantasy novel because I'm like I want my main character to have multiple moves. Like Tanjiro, for example, as cool as Tanjiro's moves look, like I like how he has like the fire, the sword, the fire breathing with his sword, where his sword can, be on fire. I like the water breathing style, but it's like I kind of wanted more of that, which is why my main character, he's kind of inspired by Tanjiro a little bit because he also uses a sword, but he has so many different type of abilities with his sword. It makes it to where it's never repetitive. And my main character can pretty much use anybody's power as long as he trains enough because he's basically like the avatar. So he has like, but he's even better than the avatar in a way because he can use the power of anybody, not just four nations. It's like my story gets deep. Like I got superheroes, kind of like DC and Marvel. I got anime style characters, like shonen anime. It's like a mix of both of those combined together. Like my world and my story is what if we could have all the superheroes and all the shonen anime style characters all in a melting pot in one comic or manga. Imagine how fun that would be. So that's what mine is based on. Um, you know, it's like really that's one thing that really inspired me to write my own story is because of the repetitiveness of mangas a lot of the time. It's because you just get burnt out of like the same kind of generic story. There's nothing fresh, nothing new. It's just a lot of the main characters are really dull. Your main character should be badass as hell. You know what I'm saying? Your main character should be oil farming like a motherfucker. But there's a lot of them where they don't really do that. They're kind of boring. Even though I will say Luffy, he's one of my favorite main characters, and I love how Luffy fights. I love the powers he has, and I love One Piece. And like I said, it's mostly because One Piece we got like 80 something backstories for the characters. We got amazing world building. So of course I'm gonna like it based on those things. And then it's kind of like I do want to make a video on Dragon Ball as a franchise because I do feel like sometimes Dragon Ball is a little too lazy. Even though, like, dude, take inspiration from other, anime. You don't have to just have it to where it's like Goku and Vegeta are constantly fighting somebody who is considered the strongest. Like, even in the Super manga, it's like, okay, and they rehash a lot of old stuff, but make it worse than the original version of the stuff. So, like, for example, Cell Max was trash. Like, that whole arc, you can tell that they kind of just throw ideas out there and they don't fully put in the effort for ideas. They kind of just throw shit together. They just throw it in the pot. What if we brought Cell back? What if we brought Frieza back and made him black and just gave him another form? They do stuff like that. And it's like, it's annoying because it's like there's so much story you can tell. I mean, myself, I could think of more stories. I mean, let's get a story with Gohan and Goten. I mean, not Gohan and Goten. Gohan and Goten and Trunks. Let's get a story about them. Let's get a story about Piccolo genuinely training and becoming the strongest instead of him just getting a new orange form. Like imagine if just like how Vegeta in that little filler, he went and like trained in space and shit like that. You know, there was that filler of that, and then he went and trained in space to become a Super Saiyan, right? We should have had something like that for Piccolo. Like Piccolo should have went to like Planet Namek, right? Trained with the warrior class of Namekians, went to like 10, 15 different planets. Like, let's do a Star Wars thing with it, where he goes into space and he gets stronger, and then he's on the level of Goku and Vegeta, and he didn't just wish for it. You know, Dragon Ball now is very lazy with their writing, and it's like for no reason, because you don't even have to do too much. It's like all you would have to do is have Piccolo go into space, train on a couple planets, show us a couple of scenes of him training with stronger warriors, and then him coming back, and now he's Orange Piccolo. Boom, there you go. It would be that simple. And that always annoys me that they don't really do that, because it's like, instead of just wishing for him to be stronger, you could have just did that. It would have made him more badass. His aura would be high, and let him win the fight against Cell Max. And what would have made the Dragon Ball Superhero movie better is if they actually made perfect Cell Max. Like if you're gonna rehash it beautifully. Don't just rehash it lazily. Like imagine a perfect Cell Max, where he has the ultimate form. He's just as strong as the freaking Saiyans and Piccolo. Piccolo went and actually trained. Gohan went and actually trained. He didn't just get a new form out of nowhere called Beast Mode. Even though it looks cool, it still would have been cool. Matter of fact, if him and Piccolo would have went to space to train, it would have been cool. I know Gohan is a scholar. He doesn't want to leave his kid. He wants to work his job. Like, I get that, but that would have been kind of cool. You know, he takes like a month off of his job and trains with Piccolo in space or something. That would be fire. Again, there is some stuff I like about Dragon Ball Super. Like, I do like the fact that it's like they showed that little fight where it's like Gohan Beast versus Ultra Instinct Goku. That was fire. It showed the two, I think it was Broly versus Trunks and Goten. That was pretty fire. Even though they should have fused. I don't know why they're not fusing. I don't know. Dragon Ball Super does dumb shit sometimes, and it like pisses me off. Like, for example, in the Dragon Ball Superhero movie, those two should have fused. It should have worked, and they should have fought as Gotenks. Why that didn't happen? They want to make that fucking stupid ass gag joke where they're a fat ass. That shit pissed me off. I hate when they do that. Like, Japanese dudes be pissing me off with their humor, because sometimes their humor literally ruins something that could have been cool. You know, they're thinking in the studio, ha ha ha, let's make them be the fat version of Gotenks instead of actually making it the badass adult Gotenks that we all want. I don't know why they keep doing that. It's really annoying. Like, just do what we want. You know what we want. But anyway, like, comment, subscribe, follow your boy. It is what it is.